there.
But this is the ARI?
Yeah.
That was neat, but I think you talked about it. Just for me, one of the reasons why me as Box phone haven't touched it is because, like, for example, with AGI, we have a little load balance function, and then we just can send AGI requests to a whole cluster of processing things. And we would need to have that same scalability and redundancy with ARI. And the main solution there is you put an ARI proxy on top of Asterisk, which will then put out a message bus, and then you can have whatever number of consumers that are nicely redundant failover and redundant message consuming those events. And for me, it'd be nice if you don't have this one point of failure, this proxy, and have Asterisk generally automatically generating the events in this nice, easy to load balance mechanism.
So I would point out in talking about that the point of the ARI proxy is scaling in both sides. So it's not just to be able to take an asterisk and have any number of consumers of those events, but also take any number of asterisks and any number of applications, application groups and such, to all be able to communicate to any discrete asterisk set of any.
Yeah, but if you have 20 asterisks already to say rabbit queue, there's no advantage having an external process for WebSocket's rabbit. Is there? If we have 20 asterisks and they're all writing to the same rabbit queue, that is your scaling of asterisks there.
Well, that would be if your message queue is not self-scaling. I would never use rabbit, but regardless of that, yes, if you're just replacing one single bottleneck with another, it's point of the second. Except, of course, that a message queue, if it's standard message queue, is going to be able to tolerate a whole lot more performance than any particular endpoint, whether it be asterisk or your application, which is doing other stuff than sent to fast. Not that I won't get into any argument about whether you should use a message queue and what message queue.
So should this line be changed to, can we have, not that line, the one, that one, to have ARI proxy built into Asterisk? Is that really what you're asking for?
Essentially,
yes.
You don't have an external proxy.
So you don't have an ARI proxy itself, and you just have Asterisk taking care of it, so you can have 50 asterisks and five ARI things, whatever those 5 ARI things are, and hey presto, it magically works. Yeah.
Yeah. So get rid of the WebSocket.
Yes.
I mean, it's not broken, I guess.
I know my English is not very good, but I did a presentation about RabbitMQ and Asterisk last year. And there is a module on my GitHub about communication with Stasis and RabbitMQ, and I asked for feedback, but the only feedback is from Andrew.
We started building it through so my facility and I talked to each other.
But it exists.
So if you were to choose a message queue, you would have to then choose a message queue. And that is its own religious war, of which I hate to have wade into. So the nice thing about WebSocket is it's generic, it's a standard. Everybody can implement it because it's very simple to do so. To then go to say, am I going to the AMQP, or am I going to go to this, or am I going to RabbitMQ, or whatever, then you have to make a stance, and that has its own terrible ramifications if you do that instead of something.
So earlier on I said about it would be great if we just were able to consume media, and for us to take that media and send it off to IBM or whoever, because we don't want so many different modules within Asterisk, right? in this instance, we would have to make a module for every single different queue, right? However, I kind of stand behind that one on this one because this way we get one standard. So if you go to Joran's talk this week, there's a new standard, there's your standard, there's Go ARI proxy, there's another standard. I'd really like to just be able to scale, so I could scale asterisk with ARI in one way, and that's what I want.
Solutions, including IO, solves every possible deployment. Whereas what you have with ARI itself is about as basic as and yet to balance out the ubiquity of growth. There's a lot of argument on the idea of this split HTTP on one side for commands, WebSocket on the other, okay, maybe you have done it instead of security socket or something like that. What it is a standard, and it requires no additional common component outside of that, that it forces any kind of orthodoxy into your consumption or your consumption. In a way that adopting a message or a proxy mechanism will.
Beside of the different message broker systems we have, like RabbitMQ in your case or Kafka in my case, or I don't know what's yours, I think RabbitMQ as well. NAS. We lose the possibility with the entire scripting languages like PHP, ARI from them guys I'm missing now, or the Python scripts from Medium itself. And for small application, I maybe would prefer that one instead of a blown up application with message bus in between. Maybe we have to consider this if we have to choose between the two options. If we want to have message bus included directly in the asterisk or not. And for me, it's just a little bit glue code between the asterisk and any message bus. It's like a driver. I think like that. It's just a driver.
No, I don't have anything to add other than, yeah, I'd really like to not run something else and have one way of doing it. The other thing that might kind of half solve this issue slightly is if you could have more than one WebSocket connected to Asterisk for the same status app, which you can't do right now. So let's say I've got two asterisks and I've got two ARI apps and they're on separate boxes for different reasons. Why can't my two ARI apps talk to both asterisks and then I get my redundancy? And that's a really basic way of looking at it, and it doesn't work for, say, a SIP gate scenario or whatever.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. But you don't want to get into this whole your ARI app connecting to 10 different asterisks or whatever. But yeah, that could alleviate a lot of these issues with a very small amount of effort, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it would just be a matter of when a call hits the dial plan, even if it's the pseudo dial plan that we talked about earlier, which instance do we send it to?
Yeah, and if it's the same instance, do every messages to one call context go to the same ARI proxy or to the same status instance, whatever? Or do I don't care because they all hit the same RabbitMQ in the backend? Who does the routing of the messages? This is a question you have to ask. We solve that issue by if we get the application replaced event, it just die. And if there is no status application registered on the asterisk, we decline the call and the EDO makes a reroute to the next asterisk. So this is one possibility.
Can you replace the word two with times n? Thank you.
Okay, so, Sean asked a question, why would you want that in asterisk? But now I'm kind of lost as to what in is, or what that is. So are we saying from what's in asterisk, let's just say.
So what got my hackles up was the idea of replacing WebSocket with X.
No,
I don't want to do that.
I mean, if somebody wants to make an adapter for X.
right, if somebody wants to, somebody can write a module that hooks into Stasis on one side and their message bus of choice on the other side.
Which is pretty much what the patch last year did. It just wasn't completely natively there. If from an ARI perspective, wasn't. Am I right? Is that right? Like last year, it wasn't. It's not completely there for ARI purposes and things like that. But is it? Yeah. Okay. So we might already have a solution, and we just really need to get behind the patch and figure out if that's the right patch.
Right, I think
Okay,
that,
so Dan, what you were talking about though is something that we could do in asterisk, which is allow the same application to register for multiple sources, right?
Yes, as a
Basically,
separate thing.
Okay.
Yes. I want both things, but the second thing might be a lot easier.
So it has always seemed a little bit uncomfortable with this idea of the WebSocket connection is itself the registration of ARI applications. I mean, I can understand the motivation there, but once you start talking about having multiple listeners for what is essentially an event bus or the WebSocket, then that doesn't make sense. It's also problematic when you have just the initial bootstrapping of the system and you say things fail because the ARI application doesn't exist because that socket hasn't existed. Or when you have the WebSocket die on one time, you have to get up, and you have race conditions and that kind of stuff. Whereas if you had a separate ARI application registration and simply connected to that, alleviate a lot of that complexity, at least the operational complexity, deployment complexity.
I mean, does it alleviate it, or does it just kick the can somewhere else, though, right?
No,
But I mean, if it does kick the can somewhere else, at least that's controllable somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying, somebody's gotta worry about that problem, right? It doesn't go away.
And to the same thing, you have multiple listeners. You have the problem of, well, who's going to act on this event?
Yep.
The only thing from Asterisk's side that makes any sense, at least to me, is that all listeners get all events, unless you want to apply filtration like you did with AMI for those listeners. But then you have the problem of, okay, everybody gets a Stasis start event, who's going to act on it? That's taking that problem.
Yeah.
And that is not a simple one that took a lot of thinking and a lot of work in the ARI policy to get it right. But regardless of that, I think it's more flexible to separate those two, the ARI application registration from the WebSocket listener, and then allow multiple listeners.
So does anybody subscribe to I'm sorry, use the star application to get all the events?
No, I didn't know it was. You can subscribe to an application whose name is Asterisk.
Yeah, I forget, hold on, let me see.
I know you can subscribe and that's to get all events, but.
Hold 1 second, just for the remainder of the people in the room, as you're going in and out of the doors, can you try and not slam the doors? Thank you. So yeah, let me look for the code. I think I've got it right here. No, I don't. I thought I did.
Should we come back to that then?
Well, there is a way to do it. And I like George, I can't remember what the magic name is or whatever.
I know that you can subscribe to all.
Yeah.
It's an extra param on the URL.
Yeah.
But that's subscribing to events from all Asterisk. That's just slightly different in the sense, isn't it? From what we're really asking for.
Well, the problem then is then you still need a WebSocket connection to enable that application.
Right.
Yeah.
We're looking at 21, right?
Per application.
And you may have.
Yeah. It's not good.
So it may not be a complete, it may not cover all cases that
I
we're
mean,
looking through.
it's manageable, of course, we certainly do. Just for streamlining things.
Yeah. So I would, it sounds like that maybe Sylvan has kind of started in a direction that might be able to at least move things forward. Maybe just there's some due diligence that needs to happen to go look at what Sylvan's on. It sounds like maybe somebody hasn't, maybe some more people need to look at it, start using it and figure out, you know, if there are any holes or where things, you know, on the Astra side, if there are things that we need to change to better accommodate that scenario. I would prefer to start from, you know, something that he's got working.
Well, no, but that's two different scenarios though.
Okay.
Just to come back to the subscribe all. Yeah, if you do subscribe all equals true and app equals star, you get all the events.
You're talking about the WebSocket scenario versus the
Versus the message queue interface.
So for those that are interested in the message queue cross instances, that's the way I would suggest to go. But yeah, the other side, the multiple WebSocket approach, I think that there is stuff we have to iron out there. All right. Anything else on this topic? Matt? Oh, yeah.
Talking about like, you know, margin asking with message buses or message and something like that. Is JSON really the appropriate thing anymore, or should we also start talking about whether or not we put messages out in Avro versus JSON?
What did you say, in what versus JSON?
Avro.
Avro?
Avro. The extensible schema languages like the mapping and Kafka to go back and forth, because I mean, it's a real-time problem now, right? I mean, what is ARI 1.9, right? There's different definitions of it.
Yeah. So I am not going to touch the data encoding scheme discussion, 50-foot pole, but if anybody else wants to go on it, you can talk about your heart's desire.
That does remind me, we really need to move on Swagger.
I'm still waiting on
I'm
the
sorry, I
patch.
completely forgot I brought that up last year.
It did, yeah. I'm still waiting on the patch for that one, guys. But yeah, I mean, that's an important area too. Like if you're looking for a cause, like getting us moving into a more modern version of Swagger is a good cause.
I mean, especially if you're given like an environment with a whole bunch of different asterisks that are sending messages to a bus, maybe there's not a consistent version. That could be really tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, data encoding schemes, they change over time. And, you know, I guess if people like different ones, you know, we can try to figure out how to best accommodate that. But I think we've kind of rallied around, in a lot of ways, we went off of some older things that we don't like to talk about to a mostly JSON approach for serialization of data. But could be that there's other ones that are interesting as well. I know that's not a great answer, but is there anything else that I missed as far as we're moving forward? Okay. All right, let's see, it's 2:38. Let's talk about removal of macro functionality. I'm gonna raise a hand. Who's still using macros? I'll raise a guilty hand. I use them sometimes. Doesn't mean I should be now. It doesn't mean I should be, but sometimes I do use macros. Yeah. It's pretty old. I think it's getting ripe for removal. I don't have any big issues with macros.
The current state is deprecated, right?
Yes, it is. It has been since like 1.6.
Can I propose that we get removed before the next one?
Just wait on the pull request. Go for it. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any big issues with that.
But that's what.
All right. Any other discussion around that? Quick one, I guess. All right, so let's go to my messed up list here. Something else. All right, we already talked about XMPP motif. Alexander wanted to talk about RTCP media interaction with audio codecs, and I'm kind of interested in this because this is an area I've done some dirty things in.
Yeah, well,
I'm interested.
I took over his work, Sand wrote it in the Opus Codex, open source Opus Codex, and later on Gideon created their own Opus Codex, but I think in this room some still know the Opus Codex is still open source, so I'm the maintainer of it now. And by this I copied it over for AMR, or how it's called in English, AMR wideband, which is very popular in mobile networks. And we have the problem that that's compressed quite heavily, all stuff, even in Opus. And if you have an RTP packet which is out of sequence, it shouldn't be put into the decoder of that audio codecs. So it's very much the same situation with video, but actually it's a bit worse because these audio decoders never expect to have a frame out of sync. And by this I realized that Asterix is not propagating the sequence numbers down the stack where I am with the meter decoders, encoders, and all that stuff. So I don't have even the sequence numbers down there. So I had a proposal 1.5 years ago or something like that to get the sequence numbers down and getting the sequence, dropping these packages with wrong sequence numbers or something like that. And it didn't work out quite well.
Yeah, I think it broke a few tests, didn't it? Or like maybe it broke faster.
Did it well, but I even had some implementations which turned out created silly sequence numbers, so that whole logic didn't work.
Yeah,
so,
I remember. I think I reviewed that test.
Yeah, so that's the whole logic didn't work. So it would need a lot of more work of my side, and I stopped a bit of that because of other projects I had. And so my question is now for the crowd here, just to get a picture of you're the top-notch developers for Asterix, so you have a bit of experience of deployments. Who has never ever deployed an Asterix with Opus? So everyone else has used Opus, at least in one implementation. Or can I get a right? So everyone else has used Opus. Okay, so we get that. So the next question is, was that primarily the audio codec or just for fancy stuff to get some phones done, or was it just G722 for HD voice? Who used Opus as primary audio codec here in this crowd in one deployment? Okay, Zipgate, that's for sure. So nobody has yet used Opus as a primary audio codec. As second, Zipgate. Okay, just to get a rough picture, yeah, okay. Because it would take a lot of stuff and a lot of work to get it right and get everything getting. And the problem is we have this problem for 15 years, since day one of Asterix. And every RDP packet which comes from the stream, even if you're on a Wi-Fi and you're going through different Wi-Fi access points in a company or something like that. I did some tests, and there's very often you have drops of RDP packets, you have out of sync RDP packets, out of even in order out of packets, and these get all put down to the audio decoders, and that's not expected. So. Yeah, well, okay, so we have at least one guy who's interested in getting that quality or user experience stuff better.
That's not what you asked. Interested in doing primary, yes.
Yeah, of course. Everyone wants to have that. But that was my trick to get it if it's actually deployed. So if it's a future topic or it's deployed already or where we are. So that was actually the trick by asking these questions this way around. So anyway, yeah, and I got the picture. That was interesting for me, and that was it for me. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, some things have improved since Asterix 15. So if you're talking about a non-translated call, sequence numbers, I don't have Josh here to like hang my neck if I say it wrong. But as I understand it, sequence number information between two legs of a call that are bridged, but are not transcoded, should be preserved. So endpoints that do a good job of managing that information, they should be okay. Additionally, and this is where Kevin can choke me here if I say it wrong, but our jitter buffer should handle, I won't say all the cases, but like it should do a good job of like correcting a lot of
well, not in this case. That's a problem. So
not for the not if you're transcoding.
Yeah, exactly.
Not if you're transcoding.
Yeah, that's the point.
If you want to massage packet ordering between two non
I'm about the transcoding case because I have a lot of people who are in the mobile business and they try to transcode all their mobile codecs back to the fixed line codecs on internet codecs and back to forward, and so that's a transcode.
Yeah, and my statements are not to say that you're not right.
No,
right. You are right. It was just to clarify.
Yeah, just
how to work around.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Josh says, we try to preserve sequence numbers, including gaps and out of order stuff for pass-through, so the other side can reorder.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I'm about the transcoding.
Yeah.
Just about the transcoding. I'm sorry for that. Missed that.
But it would be good to, I would love to see the transcoding systems too.
Yeah.
Because I
that's my understanding.
Media transcoding and how you do that the right way is kind of close to my heart.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, is Josh Elson, so we only have like 15 minutes, so we'll see how far we get with the rest of what we have. We might be just right today. Is Josh Elson on the phone?
I'm actually here.
Oh, Josh, I've never met you in person, I think, or if I have, I apologize. Josh, do you want to talk about task processor architecture limitation?
Yeah, I'll see the second discussion. But this sort of sits between architecture and code implementation, but one of the bigger changes.
Here, wait. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, so one of the bigger challenges we've dealt with in a pretty large GenSIP to BJSIP migration, and the sort of task processor stuff that's been added on to handling that. This was again, obviously a couple of iterations ago. We've struggled with the fact that these task processors all sort of end up with equal priority, and that one task processor overflowing ends up essentially causing a lot of other things in the system to shut down.
Was it the CDR task processor?
Yeah, so we struggled with that. And so we built a lot of, again, sort of implementation packs in a pretty large horizontal system to handle that case. But it's continued to crop up in really unpleasant ways. So I don't know if there was at least having a discussion about maybe ways of changing that approach, or just thinking about things that are system critical for like PJSIP is the big one right now that still tends to shut down in a lot of circumstances. But my solution to this has been to build a pretty ugly HA proxy in reverse scenarios that I can sort of kill, pull the trigger on stuff that's overflowing before I have it shut the entire system down. So I'm just curious if anybody else cares about this problem or is interested in talking about ways to fix it. Again, if you can contain your entire infrastructure in a single data center or a single location, it tends to work pretty well. We're spread around the world, and so there's just scenarios where even one junior developer can look for a very bad day.
So I can speak a little bit about some of the changes that have happened over the life cycle of 13 and other newer. So since over the last probably 2 years or so, we have run into scenarios in Digium / Thingover. What was then Digium? Where we saw similar situations where you'd see different parts of the system as you have, and these are in like really high performance tests and things like that, where you'd see because the inherently multi-threaded approach that we try to take with PJSIP as PJSIP has lent partly to this, because parts of protocol processing are dumped into different threads, parts of like CDR processing and other parts of the system inherently get pipelined out to different task processing threads. And one thing that I think Richard Mudgett, I wish he's here to talk about this, because this is his, he gets so excited about this topic. He loves working on this sort of thing, and he's very good at it. Actually, George, you might have a few opinions about it as well.
Absolutely.
But I think he added a mechanism when we saw, so, you know, trying to prevent scenarios at the head of the line from, you know, front of line operations blocking back, or back of line operations blocking, keeping the front of line from line. So there's like a what is it called? A back delay, or there's like a propagation notification mechanism. So if task processors go above a certain level, then what it'll do is it'll start slowing down SIP processing or something like that, so that you can rely on, you know, external mechanisms to compensate for that. So you're not backing up, the whole system's not being backed up by other processes, things like that. So, you know.
In practice, I don't think it's quite work like that. And again, like not all task processor queues are of the same importance.
That's right, that's very true.
Yeah, that's something that we probably would like to take a look at. And right now, any task processor that hits its high watermark does cause them all to stop processing.
For us, I don't care about CDR
Yeah.
in real time, but then I can't get some messages.
Yeah.
I'm not happy because
Yeah, so that was the sledgehammer approach that we took a while ago, or the sledgehammer Band-Aid that we had. But your concern is valid, and we don't have right now a great way to prioritize which task processors should be allowed to, you know, to create this, you know, protocol processing slowdown. You know, inflict that upon the system or whatever.
I mean, we could configure it.
We could. We just don't right now. We don't have that right now as, you know, a way of, as being a way of configuration.
yeah, that helps. It may be more appropriate to submit this out to another forum. But anybody else that's just working on this potentially.
That's good that, no, that's good that you knew, because I don't think any of us knew that anybody else was like deep down dirty inside that problem as well.
Yeah, it's been we've hacked stuff off to the side that's okay at first, but now.
Okay. Are there any particular task processors in general that you see present? Because, you know, things like, let's say CDRs, like one best practice recommendation that we have for, you know, high performance systems is generally to not use CDRs, right? It's to disable CDR functionality and then take advantage of CLs, because there's a ton of stuff that has to come together to stitch together a CDR, right? And so by completely moving it, you know, that was one area that we saw, I think Richard saw in his benchmarking, where it would, the CDR processor in particular would just, on massive amounts of loading, stuff like that, it would back up because of all the processing capacity. And it would, you know, cause the negative back propagation approach and slow down the protocol process.
Yeah, and we've already gotten there, essentially killed CDR. The AMI has been a problem as well.
Okay.
And so again, poorly written apps or other things that are affected that tend to not respond. And again, Paul's had the same sort of cascade where as well, a malfunctioning AMI app is not nearly as poorly as
yeah, yeah.
But stuff like that, where it's been almost everything that can't back up at this point for us now.
Yeah. So I guess just to paraphrase kind of what your intent or desire is, you would like more selectivity on what's allowed to slow down system processing, right? Like in cases of backup, right?
Yeah, and we remember the old days where everything would just die or that much worse place. So at least the system would work in chaos, but a little more granular control of what's really important.
Okay. Yeah, I think this would be an excellent discussion to have. I know I see you on, Garrett, and maybe Josh and George and things like that. Some people that have had to get their fingers dirty in this thing. Like, it sounds like, unless, do you have any comments, George, that you want to?
No, that's it. Yeah, let's chat about it, because I mean, we did it that way for a reason, because it solved the problem.
Yeah.
Not that it didn't create others.
The world is not worse than it used to be.
I mean,
Yeah, I think we just need some.
Oh,
I think we just need some guidance as to what. And I think the first time we've heard having the ability to maybe configure which ones are allowed to stop and which ones aren't. That's a great piece of feedback.
I mean, arguably though, like the world might be a little bit worse, because we've run into scenarios where we're trying to figure out, they're like, we get bugs or tickets open and they're like, the system stopped processing SIP protocol. And we're like, what's going on? We're going looking all over the place to figure out what happened. And it turns out there's a little message somewhere in the log that said, oh, we stopped doing SIP protocol processing because, and we're like, oh crap, we did that to ourselves, right? I mean, it's the same. And so it confuses speed time because it's a non-intuitive way to see system failure, or what's perceived as system failure in an effort to preserve system integrity, right? So yeah, maybe there's better ways to do it.
Yeah, I think that's our thoughts, but yeah, we can spit that next week.
Okay.
Can I inject something?
Sure, go for it, Murph. I know you've done a lot of time kind of in these areas.
Way back in the day when task processors first appeared, I had an experience about it because I thought, being misused and used like a threat. Yeah, I don't know if that use has ever happened or will.
It probably has, and it probably will.
But I do notice that in the IAX channel guard, that there's a beautiful implementation of the thread pool. And one of the last things I was working on for I was executing from vision was trying to extract that code and make a separate sort of functional interface for it. And I think that if anyone wanted to just execute this in a different thread, it would be ill-advised to use a task processor because of the field that it happens. Just go ahead and execute it. And if you're afraid about how long it might take or whatever, then you just write that in and time on something that would cause early termination of one. But that was just my concern, is that it would be used to use that as a
Okay, yeah, most of task processes by default today don't actually get a thread code. You have to explicitly create a task processor with approval of threads. But a lot of the task processors now really are there specifically to serialize tasks. For instance, one of the reasons we have the task processor pool set up in the PJ SIP distributor is because if they go to a generic to a generic thread pool, it's possible that an incoming transactions messages get processed out of order. So the distributor uses the task processors to say, if I'm getting messages from a particular source, I always want them to go in this particular task processor to ensure that they get processed in the same sequence.
I would say that would be appropriate.
Yeah. So, but a lot of them do that now, and there aren't really a whole lot, I don't believe, where it's just a task processor used in place of a thread pool.
So with that, anything else on this topic? This is actually a solid discussion. I think it warrants more discussion, like I said, and we should move
I'll
into.
buy beer later.
What's that?
I'll buy beer later.
Yeah. But yeah, we should talk about this more. This is a good, juicy dev talk too, and it's near to many hearts. I would propose at this time that we adjourn. I apologize we didn't get to everything on your list, Josh. If there's anything left on anybody's within anybody's interest list or whatever that we haven't covered, please bring them up on the dev list. And if there's enough topic, maybe we can figure something out. Or if there's enough topics, we can figure something else out as far as a way to continue this. I'm not sure. But yeah, feel free to bring that up on the dev mailing list and or RC channel, which is, I like the dev list better because it allows people to think before they respond. And then also gives you the opportunity to have, it's the most public place you can, there's preservation and things like that. So it's a good public place to have discussions. But I want to thank all of you for coming today. I want to thank all of you for your great ideas. I want to thank you for your interest in using Asterisk and using your network and being willing to pay money to come and talk about it and try to further it and try to help it be a better part in the tool set that you use as developers and integrators and things like that. It always excites me to see everybody hear about the new stories and new ways that people utilize Asterisk that many times I never would have thought of doing, or to talk about parts of the code that I, in my twisty path through working Asterisk development, things like that I have never even touched. You know, there are areas, as long as I've been directly involved with Asterisk, there are areas that I haven't messed around with that I've used. And so I'm grateful for your patience with me, and then also, you know, as I work from my experience and try to draw on the experience of others who have worked in those parts. All right, so with that, we're going to adjourn, and thank you guys all for coming, and I guess I'll see you guys around the conference. If anyone wants to continue discussion, we probably have more time tonight, things like that, we can talk about things. Anyway, thank you. You all may go. Which thing? You all may go. Oh, is that? Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that wasn't meant to be a rewrite. Thanks, George. Thanks for running all the tech and making all the pieces come together. Kevin, thanks for coordinating with